Good Monday morning to all of you. This is Rana Vora, youth and parent coach from Athena Life Coaching. Monday, 18th March. How is everyone doing? I put a couple of posts with regard to questions about what is your question today. And since I didn't get many questions, many comments from all of you, I have decided to talk about a struggle that one of the couples I'm coaching is facing with. So one of the couples that I'm coaching, the husband and wife are coming to me. They have 2 kids and one of the kids has ADHD. And the reason they're coming to me is because they want to learn how to be better parents. Don't we all? We're all on this journey and we all want to be better parents for the sake of our children. So it's amazing. I really congratulate the parents who take this step, because A, they have to admit to themselves that it's not their child who needs to change, and B, they have to admit to themselves it is they who need to change. So I really applaud, honor and acknowledge those parents who come to me for parent coaching through my 4-week parent coaching program, wanting to understand how they can work on themselves and be better parents. Believe me, it is a journey for the brave, because it is such internal deep work. My coaching sessions are 1.5 hours for these parents, and yesterday this particular couple who came in, the father and mother, they sat in front of me and I felt that they both weighed a ton, and they weighed and their energy felt so heavy because they were so overwhelmed with what was going on in their lives. So these are not people who are struggling to make ends meet, who have issues with money. These are people who are well-to-do people, who are living a very abundant life. So when it came to financial freedom, they had it and more than enough. When it came to their health, they had it, but they both yesterday looked like they were so close to not feeling well. Oops, sorry. Okay, sorry, I touched my phone and it has slipped. 1 second. Oops. Sometimes things don't go according to plan. So yesterday when this couple came in, so my coaching session started at 10:30. They were late by a couple of minutes. We ended up starting at 10:45. And they just had so much to pour out that from 10:30 to 12, the session went on till 1 o'clock, for the simple reason that I had to allow them the space to unburden what they brought to the table. It's not something I do all the time, but in yesterday's case, and that's what I explained to the parents, and they were like so grateful when they were leaving, and they're like, we overshot the session by an hour, we are so grateful, blah blah blah. And the key takeaway of all of this yesterday was one word, and that's the word I want to talk to you mothers especially today, is our collective sense of overwhelm. We, at any given point in time, me included, and I really am working on myself, and my list is the continuous sense of overwhelm we have at any given point in time. Mothers who come to me, whether their children are 2 years old, whether their children are 12 years old, whether their children are 16 years old or 20 years old or even 23 years old. I'm coaching a mother just now whose son is 23 years old, and she's doing the 4-week parent coaching program. So this is a program not just for parents of 2-year-old and 8-year-old and 12 years old. This mother has come to me because there's been a complete breakdown in communication. And what is she struggling with? She is struggling with this sense of overwhelm. Where does this sense of overwhelm come from? So I'm going to talk to you guys about the couple that I'm currently coaching. And like I said, financial freedom, Health-wise, they're good. They've got 2 healthy kids, but their to-do list, so the husband's workload is such that he needs to be present in every meeting. He needs to be, so he's a businessman. So in his business, he has created a business where nothing in the business moves without him. So whether it is hiring someone, whether it is making decisions regarding transactions, everything starts and begins with him. He has no energy left when he comes home. So when his child, who suffers from ADHD, comes to the father to bond with him, to spend time with him, his own energy level is of exhaustion, of overwhelm. His to-do list is unending, that he shuns his child. The more you push your children away and you make them feel that you do not have time for them, the more clingy, the more they want your attention. It's just how children will behave. It is just a never-ending cycle. The more exhausted you are, the more your children will come to you and drain you further. And my key thing for them yesterday was, you coming here to do parent coaching sessions, but your current lifestyle is so overwhelming, and parents at any given point, this is so common, that parents at any given point in time feel overwhelmed. I'm just checking whether you can hear me and see me. So parents feel this sense of overwhelm, and that's what the children become even more clingy. So this mother ran her own business. She had 2 kids to look after, one of whom has ADHD. She admitted to me that she is OCD. She needed, there were so many rules she had created in the house. When the children walk in, they have to take their shoes off. Then they go to another room, they had to sit on the carpet. Then when they went to the dining table, they had to wear napkins. When they finished with the dining table, they had to walk straight in and take a left and go to the bathroom and wash their hands and gargle. So at every given point in time, there was a checkpoint. You know how there's when you go to a very sensitive area in any part of the world, and there are checkpoints, barricades put by the police. So who is doing the policing? The policemen, yeah? So there might be 5 policemen here, 5 policemen in the next barricade, and 5 policemen in the following. So guess who puts the rules in that house? The parents do, either the father or the mother. And given the father is working, has more commitment in terms of finance, and has to bring in the finance of the house, the buck stops on the mother. And what is the mother doing? She's the one who has set up these barricades. So when you enter the house, the shoes have to come off. So if the shoes are not off, what is the mother doing? You need to take your shoes off. Exhaustion point number 1. And this is something that all of us do, right? And that is why so how is this connected to parenting? If you can be patient and allow me to explain, I will explain it to you. So at every given point in time, there is a barrier. So when they walk in, the shoes have to be off. When they go to their room, the uniforms have to come off and go into the laundry basket. After that, they need to wash their hands. After that, they need to walk down with fresh clothes onto the dining table. Once they sit on the dining table, they need to eat in a certain manner with the napkin and the fork and the spoon in a certain manner. So at every particular point, there is a rule that the children need to follow. Not only, so let's assume that you're doing this for the benefit of your child, but who's the one who's minding all this? Either you have servants at every point, maids, nannies at every point to mind that, or the buck stops at you, because you and I know that nannies will only do so much, yeah? And yesterday I looked at her and she was exhausted in front of me, and she's coming here, invested in a program to become a parent, better parent, but her life was full of rules and barricades that she was minding. So how much of her energy, how much of your energy is being clogged up in the rules you are setting for your children. And when you have younger children, of course we have to set rules about not being able to climb on the window, not touching the hot iron, but you are there minding your 2-year-old or 3-year-old. But as they grow older and they become 8 and 10-year-olds, then you need to start understanding that you need to know which battles to fight. How important is it to your life or their life, for example, if they do not, for example, take those shoes off? Of course, set the rule, but do not be a minder for every rule you set, because you really need to know which battles to fight. Your sense of overwhelm is coming from all the list of rules you're setting about where the shoes have to come off, where the dirty clothes need to go, how they need to eat. Just imagine your children will end up feeling like they are coming to a jail. They have they have come home from school where they're already being told, this is where your history class is, now you need to sit here, now you need to stand there, now is your piano class, now is your sports lesson, now is your art class. They're already coming from school, living a very, very regimented life. And then, for your own sanity, you think it is for your own sanity, you have created rules again in the home front. So where does your child escape to? Where is his zone when he can just let go of every rule? So I'm not saying about breaking rules and jumping out of windows, but I'm saying where he can relax and where he can be told, yeah, take your shoes off. But if he doesn't, that's okay too. How much of this OCD, how much of this perfectionism, how much of these rules are we going to continue to implement and then wanting to monitor and then wanting? Please simplify your lives, mothers. Please simplify. So do you know what my homework for that particular mother was yesterday? Is for her to just journal down what are the things that she does in a day, including the rules she set and whether she is minding those rules, that they have to wash their hands, they have to wear. Then from 5 to 7, they have to do a certain activity. And then that's how they're going to eat. That's how they're going to sleep. Now is their bedtime. It's great to have a framework for children. And it's important to have a framework for children so that they feel a certain sense of routine. And in that routine, a certain sense of security. But please know that certain set of security needs to come from a framework. So you have a frame and there's a photograph inside. But just imagine, when you go to these beautiful furniture shops and they have those frames with little photographs you need to put in. So you could have one big frame with approximately 15 smaller photographs. Do you know how painful it is to put those pictures in that? That's what you're doing in your life. You've created this big framework, your home, safety, the health, the sanity, for your children to succeed in life. But within that framework, you have put small frames. And you are trying to fit those pictures in, and that is what is creating your sense of overwhelm. So you have to take a step back today and ask yourself, how can I simplify my life even further? You need to ask yourself, how can I simplify So what will happen if my child does not put the shoes in the cupboard? Maybe they'll just stay there. Maybe I can remind him after 3 days that's what he needs to do. So it's important. So now you might say, Suranna's contradicting herself. Yes, I am. Because in younger kids, it's important to repeat certain things that need to be done for their safety and well-being. But as your kids start to grow older, they are going to start to exert their own personality, their own independence. And this is where the problem lies. So her son, who suffers from ADHD, is all of 12, 13 years old, and he is beginning to assert his. But when they come home, they are feeling that they are in this regimented box by box by box, and they are then pushing the boundaries. And there is so much of chaos and so much of arguments and battles in the household that the parents came here looking completely drained out, completely exhausted, and just completely not being present parents. So their yesterday's takeaway was that they need to do everything in their capacity to become more mindful, more present in mind, body and spirit. Your children need rules for their safety. Your children need rules for their well-being. Your children need rules for them to excel in life. But those rules cannot be rules that come after every 1 kilometer. So even the police barricade is not after every 1 kilometer, because that would use up a lot of the energy force of the police. You put up barricades when there is a need, when there is a prisoner who's escaped from prison. But imagine if the police force, in order to maintain the safety of a city, had barricades after every 1 kilometer. That's not how the police force works. They have barricades at important juncture points. So for today's lesson, the number one thing is write down all the rules you have for your children in the daily stuff, like put the shoes in the shelf, put the clothes in the thing. So we want to teach our children, but I want you to focus on your sanity and your sense of overwhelm, because right now yours being sane, your being more peaceful is more important than the shoes in the cupboard. Because the more I interact with parents, the more I'm realizing how exhausted parents are, how run down parents are. And you need to start focusing. One, write down for today's homework, what are the rules you have on the home front? Does the shoe need to go in the cupboard? Do the clothes have to go? So instead of having barricades at every 1 kilometer checkpoint, can you put barricades where they truly matter? Like if you have younger children, not to climb on sofas, to be near windows. If you have older kids, sleep time is 10 p.m., 11 p.m., homework has to be. So look at the barricades at the important juncture, like the police force. Put it at a decent gap. The third thing, are you minding those barricades all the time? Or are you communicating in a manner in which your child knows that they are responsible for towing the line? That is where the 4-week parent coaching program becomes so crucial, because we're looking at that element of communication, and we are looking at that element of communication and wanting our kids to understand that those boundaries, those barricades are important, and it is important for their own well-being, and therefore they must take charge of that. That is the third point. The fourth point is, what is the self-care? So once you've understood, the fourth point is start eliminating what is not important. Eliminating where? Not maybe to the children. You don't have to tell the children, okay, now today when you enter the house, you can throw the shoes outside the balcony. No, it's for you to have already informed the kids, and then giving them ownership that they need to do that by repeating once, twice, thrice, but moving away mentally from that point and saying, what will happen if the shoes don't go into the cupboard when they enter the house? They can go in 5 minutes later. Maybe they don't need to go in. Can you live with that? Can you allow that? I keep talking about a very basic example, but I know the kind of stress mothers have from shoes not going into the cupboard. So it's about sitting with yourself and saying, can I let go myself of this expectation and allowing it to be okay not to do it? Can I let go of that and say to myself, it doesn't matter if it happens, it's okay, it's not the end of the world if my child does not put his shoe in the cupboard. Yes? So start eliminating. I want you to start noticing the amount of time and the amount of energy you are spending in those barricades and policing your children. Because instead of being a parent, instead of spending time, instead of being present, all you're doing is policing your children every step of the way. And then there are horror stories that I will share with you, that when a child at the age of 18 goes to America, he feels completely lost. This is a child I coached and who decided to end his life. And when I asked him what happened when he came back here, he said, I just didn't have my mother telling me what to do. I know it's a horror story, but these are facts. I am coaching these teenagers. I am coaching these parents. I'm not making these stories up. These are absolutely 100% true stories of people I coach and work with. And it continues to open my eyes about where I'm coaching my children wrong also. So it's not like I'm the perfect parent. I learn so much from my clients. I learn so much from the children I coach. So start eliminating it. Start noticing the time and the energy you are spending in policing your child, and start to give ownership to your children. Start to let them feel the joy and feel the failure and feel the pinch of not doing something. If your child left his sports kit at home, and if he didn't take it to school and the teacher gave your child a red mark, would you be the parent who would go running to school to give him the PE kit? If the answer is yes, you would, then you need to think about how you're raising your child. Are you raising your child to experience the negative impact of not following with natural rules and boundaries and the consequences? Yeah, so allow your children. And this next point, the last point I want to talk about, is also giving your children some breathing space. Allowing them to sometimes eat their food with dirty hands, and not always. You've told them once or twice. If they're teenagers, yes, it's our job to remind them. But the point, and that's what I keep telling the parents, is our job as parents is to put the food on the table, to say, this is the food I've made, A, B and C for you. Now it's up to you what you want to do with that food. Now it's up to you for you to grab that opportunity, because when you don't grab that opportunity, it's going to be your loss. The problem with parents these days are, we are not only putting the food on the table, we're literally taking the spoon and bringing it to their mouth, and the child knows that, so he sits back and he closes his mouth, because that is the only way he can get some control on his life. That is the only way he can get some sanity in his life on how he, especially with regard to teenagers want this sense of independence. They want this sense of, so they see the food on the table, but if you move back and turn your face, they will bend down and they will eat the food. But the problem with parents like us is, we're so over involved that we are first telling them, see, I made all this food for you, see, I made all this food for you, see, I made all this food for you. And when they're not eating, we're digging in with the spoon and saying, open your mouth, you need to eat this is good for you. And they turn around and they say, we don't want to eat this, I'm not hungry. Because at some point, we are responsible for killing their hunger. Killing their hunger not only for the food, but killing their hunger for wanting to do something else in their life, whether it is sports, whether it is a passion they want to. And I've made those mistakes with my kids, and I also speak as a parent too from my own mistakes, and killing their passion, whether it is their passion, because we are so overcommitted and so over policing our kids, and then we go through so much overwhelm because our children are not towing the line all the time. Our children, as human beings, are breaking a lot of those rules and breaking a lot of those boundaries because we are policing them. There are just so many rules in their everyday life. There are just so many barricades we put in their lives that we are policing. And when they don't listen, our sense of calm takes a dip and our tempers go high rise, and we are consumed with this sense of overwhelm. So parents, take a step back today and start to think about all the rules you have in place. They can be in place, but can you live for 24 hours? If out of the 100 rules you have, you brought them down to 20, and from the 20, if your children only followed 10 of your rules, would you be able to live with yourself? Would you be able to be a peaceful and calm parent? Because at the end of the day, if you can't be a peaceful and calm parent, you can't parent your children from a positive place. You're only parenting them from a place of fear. So it's time to let go of that fear and parent from a place of peace and calm and love. And if you want more details on my most transformational 4-week parent coaching programs, I only have 2 more slots available this month of March. It only takes 4 weeks of parent coaching. 4 weeks, total 4 sessions. Each session is 1.5 hours. A commitment of 1.5 hours every week. Is your child worth that? Versus you scrolling on Facebook, on Instagram, or buying yourself an item of clothing and jewelry that you're going to use a couple of times. But on the other hand, you can make the choice of investing in a parenting program that parents from the age, I have parents whose kids are 2 years old, and I have a mother whose child is 23 years old, whose communication has broken down so much that she has now decided to come in and do the parent coaching program to learn those strategies. So don't waste your life and your child's life and wait that long. Start today from building that wonderful relationship you want with your child from a place of peace, calm and love. Because only when you operate from a place of peace, calm and love will you be able to communicate to your child, and your child will follow through. So let go of that sense of overwhelm, and you can do it by enrolling for the 4-week parent coaching program. Ask me in the comments below, send me an email on sunanathina@gmail.com, and I can send you the details. I have placed only for 2 more people in this month. Take care. That's all from me for today. Cheers. Bye.